Pleasure for me to invite here Mr. Glock, I hope the name is correct, President of Bosch Thermotechnik, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, before I really start, I would like to answer a little bit the question of Mr. Grossi regarding the competition. We, Bosch, are one of the company who is partnering and competing also with Robo in the market. Therefore, it's not only one company, there are more people behind. Huh? I would like to give you a little bit, I start with a global view, then walk briefly through our industry, and at the end finalize with the famous Heat4You project. Representatives from all over the world regularly meet at the high-profile climate summits to debate important issues, but all too often they only message or manage to agree on non-committal final declarations. This goes to show that the fight against the global warming is complex undertaking which is difficult to master. For climate protection, efforts cannot stop at national borders. The required joint efforts to manage climate change touch on issues of redistribution between the highly industrialized nations like we in Europe and the developing world. Caps on carbon emissions alone already have an impact on the competitiveness of a national economy. Given this framework, the climate summit held in South Africa end of last year actually produced at least a certain glimmer of hope. For the first time ever, all nations are willing to commit to legally binding agreements, I would say a first in the history of climate diplomacy. While this agreement is to take place only in the year 2020, that's the pity, it should be earlier, it means substantial progress compared to the results of earlier conferences. Ladies and gentlemen, energy consumption of buildings, I'm now coming a little bit closer, accounts for some 40% of carbon dioxide emissions worldwide. This is according to the study Energy Efficiency in Buildings, published by the World Business Council for Sustainable Development in 2009. By 2050, energy consumption and CO2 emissions need to be reduced by a total of 60% in order to keep global warming below 2 degrees, a very ambitious target. These carbon dioxide savings in buildings would be equal to the total carbon dioxide emissions of the worldwide transportation sector, where also Bosch plays quite an important role. Not only in Germany, there is social consensus about the need for a new energy regime. Achieving this change requires capital investments in modern heating equipment by companies and households, as well as comprehensive R&D efforts by us as manufacturers. Against this background, politicians are challenged to create the required frameworks as well as fiscal incentives. A few figures from Germany illustrate the importance of the building sector for the implementation of a new energy regime. Space heating and domestic hot water account for 85% of the energy consumption in buildings. But only 30% of all existing buildings are really equipped with state-of-the-art technologies. We see the big gap. However, the existing decisions and energy policy measures are in no way sufficient to support the required transition to a new energy regime. In the coming months and years, there will be a need for more energy policy decisions geared to making the new energy regime a reality. These decisions will have to address the make-up of the markets, the required incentives, and the shaping of legal frameworks in order to motivate the actors, which are partially we as private owners of houses, in the energy sector, to undertake an enormous effort required to implement the new energy regime. Unfortunately, for example, in Germany, the politics still discuss now for almost 12 months about some incentives in Germany. I learned today that you are much faster in Italy. The general public's acceptance of the implementation measures will be an important success factor. The required acceptance of innovative and efficient technology is currently being hampered by general confusion, for example, about the dependence on fossil fuels. One thing is clear: these are major challenges which can only be tackled if we all embrace the goal of the new energy regime as a shared challenge for business, government, and society at large. This mammoth task can only be accomplished if a large number of actors take a large number of small and big decisions which all point in the right direction. Our responsibility is to reduce the CO2 emissions which are harmful to our climate to the extent that is technically feasible and economically sensible. This means that renewable energies will have to play a significantly greater role in our energy supply. In addition, any major improvements is required in terms of energy efficiency of buildings and installation products, and as well as industrial productions. At this point, I would like to shift the focus to our industry, the thermotechnology sector. For many years, Bosch has invested large sums in research and development, aiming to creating energy-efficient heating systems and enabling increasing use of renewable energies for heating purposes. Condensing technologies, heat pump technology, solar, biomass, you are all known with these different technologies. Bosch Thermotechnology is a leading company in this industry with various brands like Buderus, Junkers, Nefit, ELM Leblanc, and certainly also Bosch. In this context, an increasingly important role is played by the gas absorption heat pump technology. Homeowners and heating operators will show growing interest in these smaller output sizes in particular, because the bigger one is more for commercial use. This is because these units offer an economically interesting alternative, for example, for homeowners seeking to improve the energy efficiency of their single-family houses. I am therefore convinced that the importance and acceptance of this promising technology are set to grow significantly in the market. These gas absorption heat pumps offer a significant advantage in that they combine the use of renewable energies on one side with the greatest possible energy efficiency. On top of that, this technology does not compete against existing solutions such as solar panels or gas-fired boilers, but rather integrates and optimizes them and elevates them to a higher level of efficiency. It is in our shared interest to push ahead this technology and to pave the way for its introduction in the European markets for heating system. That's also the reason why we work already for a number of years together with Robur. On the manufacturing side, we have the capacities and the resolve to establish gas absorption heat pump as a key technology. We are committed to this goal and we are prepared to make further investments in this technology. Our commitment is reinforced by the fact that the European Union has recognized the potential inherent in this technology. I'm confident that this conference here in Milan will provide valuable inputs for the gas absorption heat pump technology. This optimistic expectation is supported by the large number of attendants and their standing in the markets. Bosch Thermotechnology too has great expectation in this Heat for You project. In conclusion, I'm looking forward to what I'm sure will be a interesting presentations and panel discussions which we will have, and I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you.